How do you do? You look
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking, all right? So shout out to everybody who is in the room. All two of y'all, it's good to see y'all. If you guys can hear me okay, please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you guys cannot hear me, then give me a thumbs down or an angry face. All right. I'm going to shout out TMB and I'm going to shout out Vega and we're going to get into it. So I apologize off the rip because I'm trying to run through this stream as quick as possible because we got reacts at 3. All right. All you got to do to check that out is just make sure you watch this stream all the way through to the end, and it'll take you right in there. But because we only got 6 people watching, that should actually be fairly easy. All right, that should be fairly easy. Shout out to Patrick Taylor. What's good with it, bro? All right, so let's get into it. The first thing that we're going to get into is migrants versus the laws, part 2. How many people heard about this? If y'all heard about this, give me a thumbs up. If y'all did not hear about this, then give me a thumbs down.
Well, it's growing outrage after yet another video emerges showing police getting attacked by migrants.
It happened as they were trying to make an arrest at a shelter on Randall's Island. Fox 8's Morgan McKay is live in the studio with a closer look at what happened and how the mayor is responding. Morgan?
Yes, Steve, Natasha, that video of the scuffle between migrants and police was posted to TikTok. The Adams administration is still currently reviewing whether to install metal detectors at some of these shelter locations. This was a scene last Thursday at around 11 a.m. According to the NYPD, they responded to a 911 call about a man causing a disturbance at the migrant shelter on Randall's Island. Police say they saw the migrants getting in a verbal dispute with security, so they removed him from the shelter, but not before the other migrants in the
Now, let me ask you guys a question. What do you all notice about this particular conflict? What do you notice about this altercation? Let me know in the comment section what you guys notice. It should be pretty obvious. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times the things aren't obvious. Shout out to DeAndre for being a like enforcer. Shout out to A Bit of Everything for tapping in. Appreciate you, bro.
shelter started throwing things at the officers.
Anytime you have 3,000 people who are placed in an environment that they cannot work, they have to sit around all day. Things like this have the potential to happen.
Mayor Eric Adams says around 3,000 people live at that shelter. It's also not the first time police have had to respond to a situation there.
So let me ask you guys this. Do you all see how Eric Adams is making an excuse? Now, mind you, one could say that New York City is one of the most congested cities in the United States. And according to Mayor Eric Adams' logic, that would be one of the reasons why New York City has the kind of crime that they do in the subways and in the streets, right? But for some reason, when it comes to Eric Adams, he attributes the crime to race. We've seen this before multiple times. We can pull up the receipts. But when it comes to other people, it's simply because of crowded living spaces. If you guys see these comparisons by Mayor Eric Adams and you see them as illegitimate like I do, please give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, then please give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Catchy. Good to see you, Catchy.
Last month, a 24-year-old migrant was stabbed to death in the cafeteria tent. Cameras have already been installed at the Randall's Island site, but the Adams administration is still reviewing installing metal detectors there as well.
There's a full review happening right now of the security at all of our facilities, and particularly Randall. So if there's anything else to report out, we will certainly get back to you.
Adams on Tuesday also responded to questions about the incident that occurred at Times Square. According to police, they asked a group of migrants acting disorderly to disperse. And when one man refused, they attempted to place him under arrest, which is when a group of around a dozen migrants ganged up on the officers, kicking them repeatedly. However, according to the body cam footage, the man arrested, Henry Brito, was walking away slowly when in Spanish he called one of the officers an ugly Betty. That's when the officer grabs Brito, moves him to the wall of the building, and attempts to place him under arrest. Adams says he has not.
Now, I just want to say something, right? Y'all notice that the migrants didn't just sit around with cell phones recording. Y'all noticed that, right? I'm just saying. Y'all noticed that, right? The migrants didn't just sit there with cell phones on. You know what I'm saying? How many people noticed that? If y'all noticed that the migrants didn't just sit there with cell phones when their boy was getting ganged up on by the cops, give me a thumbs up. If y'all just happen to miss that minor detail, then give me a thumbs down. But you should notice it now that I brought it to your attention.
The whole video, but says regardless, no one can attack police officers like this group did.
Under no circumstance should we ever give the belief to anyone, migrant or non-migrant, that you have the authorization to try to grab a police officer's gun, to kick an officer, to fight an officer. We should never do that.
Now, according to the mayor's office, they do have security cameras installed at most of the hotels housing migrants.
Now, what I find interesting about it is that these migrants aren't taking stuff off the police. But at the same time, the police ain't taking their guns off to defend themselves against the migrants either. So now here's my question. What does that tell you about what we got to do in the United States? Because this is a clear-cut piece of evidence that proves that the United States values the lives of people who aren't even citizens more than they value the lives of Black Americans. As a Black American, that is a declaration of war against your right to sovereignty and to exist in the United States. But my question is, how many people feel that after this declaration of war, people have been moving accordingly? If you feel that people have been moving accordingly, give me a thumbs up. Or if you feel that people talk a good game and they've just been, kind of ignoring the declaration of war that's clearly obvious, give me a thumbs down.
3 of the large tent shelters, including the one on Randall's Island and at St. Bridget, the location currently serving as a reticketing center for migrants looking for a bed after their 30 or 60-day shelter limit is up. Steve and Natasha?
Did you guys notice how none of the migrants ended up unalived? If you guys noticed that none of the migrants ended up unalived, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't happen to notice that, then give me a thumbs down. All right. So next, we're going to check out some more interesting things, because there's some more interesting things going on. All right. Also, if you guys haven't hit the like button, please take a moment. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Also, if you guys have not shared the stream to your social media, please take a moment. Make sure you guys share the stream to your social media. And the link for the Discord, which should be your primary form of notification, is in the chat pinned. Make sure that you guys join the Discord and become a part of the Discord. All right. So now they came out with a little news clip here talking about Mayor Eric Adams and how he's dealing with the migrant crisis. We're going to run this real quick, and then we're going to go to the next video.
Adams facing some tough questions this morning about the migrant crisis,
especially in the wake of the growing number of asylum seekers accused of committing crimes. Lizette Nunez, she is live in Midtown with the latest. Good morning, Lizette.
Good morning, Dan and Tashani. Well, the mayor says that past administrations, they have placed limits on how the city can interact with ICE, but given this recent violent wave of different attacks to police, well, the mayor believes some of these individuals should be taken off New York City streets.
People who commit violent felonies in the city, we should be communicating with ICE to have them deported.
Mayor Adams addressing a series of violent crimes connected to migrants in an interview with Fox 5. The latest taking place at the Randall's Island tent shelter last Thursday. According to police, a migrant got in an argument with security. As officers tried to remove him, video shows migrants throwing things at officers.
It is a privilege to be here in this city, and over 170,000 people have come to this city. Overwhelmingly, they're doing the right things, but that numerical minority that are violence and carrying out violence in our city, they should not be allowed to stay here.
The mayor also addressing questions surrounding the controversial prepaid.
So now I want you guys to, again, pay very close attention to how Eric Adams talks about this, right? When he's talking about these migrants committing crimes, he calls them a quote unquote numerical minority. Let me ask you guys a question. When it comes to black people committing crimes, is it a numerical minority of black people? Absolutely. There's not a majority of any group of people that commit crime. But do you guys notice how when it comes to the mainstream media, your regular 1776er, or when it comes to any of these politicians, regardless of on the right or the left, they talk about us in different terms. If you all watched Bill Mayer's show, he had Ann Coulter and Van Jones on there, and Ann Coulter came with a lot of potato salad with raisins in it and mayo-splaining, and Van Jones, he just kind of sat there, didn't really have too much to say. And Bill Mayer, who actually believes and is more in line with the thought process of Ann Coulter, acted like he was, outraged by the statements that she made. You guys should check that clip out if you get an opportunity. I don't think too many people did any reaction or content on it. She was talking about the oppression of white people because, I guess there was a late release of the Kansas City shooters' identities, which is interesting because, those people are probably going to get prosecuted and probably go to jail. But she didn't talk about how unoppressed that woman who stabbed her boyfriend 108 times and is not going to do a jail sentence is, and compare that across different cases to see how many people like us have been relieved of, any type of prison sentence or jail sentence after a deletion. It's just interesting the way that these things work. And it's also interesting how people choose to not go heads up to directly confront this type of nonsense when it's put in front of them. Makes you wonder. It makes you wonder a lot. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Debit cards that will go to 500 asylum seekers. The city issued a $53 million no-bid contract to Mobility Capital Finance. Questions have been raised on why there weren't attempts to see if there were any better deals.
For emergency procurement, you can do no bids. This has been done before under previous administrations.
The Adams administration believes the pilot program will help cut down roughly $7.2 million per year in migrant-related costs, as well as help eliminate food waste, since many migrants don't eat the food provided at hotels and shelters.
Each migrant will get about $13 a day, so it's not automatically $1,000 as it has been reported.
The money placed in the cards will allow migrant families to buy food and baby products.
It's supposed to go to only food and baby supplies. If it's abused, we would take those cards away.
And in total, the mayor's looking to cut down 20% of migrant-related costs. Meanwhile,
now here's my question: they're claiming that he's gonna shut down 20% of migrant-related costs, but I disagree, because the information that I have that's going to come up shortly is going to debunk a lot of those claims. I want to run that back for you guys real quick, and shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 22 people watching. If everybody could take a moment, give me a thumbs up on the video, that would be great. I would definitely appreciate that. Also, please share the video to your social media, wherever you're watching from. We got 22 people watching, and we got 16 likes. If we can get those likes up to 30, that would be excellent. All right. So I want you guys to pay very close attention to Eric Adams' claim about these cards.
The money placed in the cards will allow migrant families to buy food and baby products.
It's supposed to go to only food and baby supplies. If it's abused, we would take those cards away.
How are they going to do that? How are they going to trace the cards and where the money is being spent if they're giving them to untraceable people? That's my question for you guys. If these cards and the money from these cards are going to people who are untraceable, how are they going to trace where the money is going? Somebody help me out with that in the comment section.
And in total, the mayor's looking to cut down 20% of migrant-related costs. Meanwhile, immigrant advocates believe this—
How do you cut down the costs when you tell people that you're going to give them cards that have money on it? How do you cut down costs when you're renovating buildings and building up migrant shelters? How do you cut the costs?
This plan doesn't go far enough because they believe just food prices are just too high right now, and $13 really won't get migrants enough. That's the latest here in Midtown. We'll send things back inside.
All right, Lizette, thank you.
So this $13 number that they're talking about is as far as those food cards go, right? The food cards will total out to $13 a day. Now, let me ask you guys a question. How many of you all have $13 a day? How many of you all have $13 a day that comes from nowhere? Just a random magical $13 a day that you get. If you have that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't have that, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Win, Loser, Rug. What's good with it, bro? So, you know, we're not supposed to be upset about it or anything. But at the same time, remember, you know, the reason why we're upset about it is because mainstream America and the mainstream media wants to push the narrative that 100% of the United States Black American population are welfare recipients, which we all know is not true. But it doesn't matter what's true versus what's not. What's looked at as true is nonsense that's allowed to settle these people's nerves by marinating in their empty brains and making them feel good. Would you guys agree? If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up.
Mayor Eric Adams facing tough questions on what he's doing to fix the migrant situation, as there's been another clash between migrants and NYPD officers.
Good day, New York's Lizette Nunez is live outside the Roosevelt Hotel with the latest. Lizette?
Good morning, Kurt and Rosanna. Well, the mayor says that past administrations have placed limits on how the city can interact with ICE, but given these recent violent attacks against police officers, well, the mayor wants to do more about this and also make sure that those individuals—
So the ultimate thing to be able to do about this is to end the sanctuary city designation. But what's clear about this is that Mayor Eric Adams is not willing to end the sanctuary city designation. That's the one thing that's very clear about this. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree that it's very clear that Mayor Eric Adams or the majority of New York and the majority of New York politicians is not at all interested in ending the sanctuary city designation, then give me a thumbs up. If you all think something else, then give me a thumbs down. It seems clear to me that this is not what they're interested in.
Are taken off New York City streets. Go ahead and take a look at this video. This was posted on TikTok. It shows migrants throwing items at police officers inside the Randall's Island 10 shelter. Investigators say last week there was an argument between a migrant and security guard. Officers attempted to remove the migrant, and that's when objects were thrown at officers. Yesterday on Fox 5, the mayor was also asked questions about the controversial prepaid debit card plan for 500 migrant families.
Now, we're going to actually talk about that. I don't have time because, I'm not a full-time YouTuber, so I don't have time to sit around and just, like make stream after stream after stream after stream after stream after stream after stream about all of this important content. So hopefully this will still be relevant and in the news cycle when I get a chance to talk about this. But this is absolutely something that's been talked about and something that's absolutely been, precautioned against, and the warnings were not heeded. And so now here we are. Make it make sense.
The city issued a
Mayor Eric Adams did a recent interview. I believe it was with either Fox 5 or ABC New York, and we're going to react to it to see exactly what he said.
$53 million no-bid contract to a firm to help administer this pilot program. The mayor says migrants will be given $13 a day for food and baby products.
It's supposed to go to only.
So $13 a day times 30 days. How much is that? Now, mind you, this is free money, right? So I want you guys to pay very close attention. Because to me, I don't know why this doesn't happen, but these conversations always need to be pointed back to the hypocrisy of the mainstream population and the government that protects them. The mainstream population is less outraged about this than they are about us having conversations about reparations. Now, we need to find the root cause of that. Would you guys agree? 30 times 13 is 390. So they're getting close to $400 free a month. That's $400 that you're paying to the government that you're not getting that they're giving to somebody for free. Now, mind you, at the same time, the mainstream population that people seem to have forgotten about that actually exists, they grumble and mumble about this, but they don't go into full-fledged anaphylaxis about these actual dollars going into the hands of these people than they do about you simply talking about reparations. And I think that with all of this migrant crisis stuff, people have lost sight of that. Because one thing that I do notice is that when attention can be diverted away from the population at large, it seems like there's a avalanche of aggression, and the aggression that should be at the target that it should be on kind of fizzles a little bit. I don't know why that occurs. Does anybody else notice that? If you guys notice that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't notice that, give me a thumbs down. But if you guys pay close attention in my videos, yeah, these resources are being diverted away from us, but who's diverting the resources? The same people that have strangulated the flow of resources to us. So the government, as well as their extension, which is the population at large, needs to continuously be under fire. Always, at all times, never let up. You know what I'm saying? But for whatever reason, just don't seem like it's there all like that,
Food and baby supplies. If it's abused, we would take those cards away.
So the mayor was also asked how the city planned on keeping tabs on migrants to ensure that the money doesn't go to other things besides food and baby products. The mayor didn't have a clear answer on that.
There is no answer on that, because how do you keep track of undocumented people? How do you keep track of undocumented people, guys? So you're basically just giving blank checks to people who can't be traced. And then you're turning around and asking the question, how do we trace this? Don't you think that tracing that money should have been something that they came up with before they decided to do this program? And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 31 people watching and we got 21 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 40, that'd be great. Don't you guys think that that should have been the case? Make it make sense.
Doesn't go to other things besides food and baby products. The mayor didn't have a clear answer on that, but he says if this program is successful, then they plan on expanding it to even more migrant families.
So do you guys see this? Now, what are they considering a success? What are they considering a success? If this program is successful, they're going to expand it. If they expand it, then what does that mean? What that means is that there's going to be more money spent on it. And if there's more money spent on this, then how much money is going to be spent on you?
Then they plan on expanding it to even more migrant families. That's the latest here in Midtown. Kurt and Rosanna will send things back inside.
And we'll be keeping an eye on that because many New Yorkers very concerned about this.
There you go. There you go. That news lady right there, she reminds me of Heather Locklear on that part that she played on what's the name of that movie? Money Talks with Chris Tucker. I swear her attitude and temperament, she reminded me of Heather Locklear on that movie, man. So according to Mayor Eric Adams, they're going to be slashing funding for migrants. How do you slash funding if you've already put out a declaration saying that you're going to expand a program if it's successful? How do you do that? This is what I need people to explain. These are the questions that people need to start posing and adding people on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. How do you do this? How do you say, I'm going to expand this program if it's successful, but at the same time, I'm going to cut the budget? So how do you expand and cut the budget at the same time? yeah, that's what he said on there. Shout out to TMB. Oh, this your fat wife? You know, fat. She fat as hell. You know, fat. P-H-A-T. Pretty hot and tempting. Oh, man, that's hilarious. That was a great movie, man. That was a great movie, man. I don't care what people say about Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? That was a great movie. I really wish they had came out with a part 2. You know what I'm saying?
News from the New York City Mayor's office, an exclusive interview. Mayor Eric Adams reveals he's cutting city spending on the migrant crisis by an additional 10% on top of the 20% in cuts he had already announced.
Yeah, and he says all of those citywide budget cuts have now been canceled. Our NJ Burkett sat down with the mayor this morning for that exclusive interview.
So how many people knew about that? The citywide budget cuts had been canceled. If you all knew that the citywide budget cuts had been canceled, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't know that, then give me a thumbs down.
He joins us now from City Hall. NJ.
Migrants will mean more money for city services. Yes, Mayor Adams says he is slashing funding for asylum seekers and counting on better than expected tax revenue. City agencies got the call about an hour ago that another round of drastic cutbacks to city services will not happen.
You're not going to see some of those draconian steps that we were going to have to take that's getting in the way of the cleanliness and the safety of our city.
So you say it's good news?
It's great news.
Mayor Adams says New Yorkers should feel relieved after 2 rounds of punishing.
I don't think that New Yorkers should feel relieved. I think New Yorkers should be aware now that you have an administration as well as a federal administration that's willing to blatantly prioritize people over the taxpayers and voters and tell you to shut up and make do with it. I think that they should be extremely aware of that fact. I don't think that most of them have the brains to process that. But if they develop some, that would be the priority that I would advise them to pay very close attention to. You know, if you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Budget cuts to all but the most essential city services. The budget is stabilizing, and a planned 3rd round will no longer be necessary. What does it mean for New Yorkers? How should people look at this, Mayor?
Well, if we had to do the third rounds, it would impact garbage pickup. It would impact services to our older adults. It would impact libraries. It would impact a series of services that you would actually see the difference.
In an exclusive Eyewitness News interview, Mayor Adams announced that funding for asylum seekers will be cut back by 10% on top of a previous 20% cut, for nearly 1/3 cutback on city spending for migrants.
When we inherited this, we were in an emergency state. Emergency conditions cost more money. We're now transitioning into a stabilized state because this is going to be.
Now, here's my question. What are the indicators that say that they're transitioning into a quote unquote stabilized state? Police officers getting beat up is a sign of stabilization. What are the indicators that this is now moved into a state of stabilization?
Be here for a while. So by doing that, we can renegotiate contracts. We can look at long-term planning. We're not using this as an emergency. Although we're in a crisis status, we're treating it differently because the emergency still exists, but we are managing it differently.
Adams says the city's economic recovery will bring in better than expected tax revenue. The announcement comes one day after the administration was praised by the independent credit rating agency Moody's for its handling of the city's budget crisis.
We are far from out of the woods, but we're showing that we can manage this crisis if we watch how we spend and we manage the spending that we're seeing in the city.
Well, the mayor says the cutbacks to migrant spending will take place in the coming weeks. We'll have much more from my interview with Mayor Adams and a reaction to it coming up on Eyewitness News at 5 o'clock tonight. For now.
So there's that. All right. So again, shout out to Kale. What's good with it, bro? So again, not too many answers to the questions that I'm asking. So we're going to look at what the Daily Mail has to say about these cards, about these debit cards. Now, what do you guys thoughts on the debit cards? I've never been a fan. I'm not currently a fan. I never will be a fan. But apparently there's some discrepancies in calculations. Okay. Apparently there's some discrepancies in calculations. This up on the screen here. Sorry about this. My computer freezing up a little bit. Real quick, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. The Daily Mail is great because it's one of those websites that really messes up your computer. See? There we go. All right. New York City's migrant debit cards are costing far more than Eric Adams claims and are propped up by inexperienced Jersey-based bank that he's been looking for something to do since the campaign. All right. City Hall has claimed the $53 million program is meant to save the city money. So again, how does spending $53 million save you money, especially if you're already in a deficit? How does that work? Make it make sense. But the contract allows for an open-ended deal that could cost several billions. So now here's my question. Again, who put Eric Adams in office? What did he run on? Here's my question. What has been explained or what has been done to hold New York City voters accountable for their bad voting choice? The Democrats got 86% black support when Joe Biden ran. How have those individuals been held accountable for the inconveniences that they've caused with their emotional voting choices? That's my question. Or have they? New York City's contract with an inexperienced bank to hand out debit cards to asylum seekers could cost as much as $10,000 per migrant, according to a new report. $10,000 per migrant. How's that saving money? When people move in a massively stupid way, law of averages, it even affects people who don't agree with a lot of this stuff. Would you all agree? So now my question again is for the people that completely disagree with all of this, what's being done by us to hold these people to the fire for their horrible choice and decision? That's my question. Democrat Mayor Eric Adams has claimed the pilot program would start with 500 families staying at the Roosevelt Hotel migrant shelter and cost $52 million. It was supposed to save money by allowing migrants to buy their own food and baby supplies, which officials say will save $600,000 per month and $7.2 million annually. Let me ask you guys this question. How much money would mass deportations of illegals cost? How much would that save? How much would that save? Mass deportations of illegals. Anybody got any numbers? At the very least, it would save 52 million, right? Because that's how much this program costs. So if there was a minimum number of illegals, all of the costs of these programs would be cut significantly, right? So at the bare minimum, in context of this, it would have to at least be 52 million, right? So now here it says finance will receive for its services as explicitly stated in the contract. City Hall has given itself the flexibility to disperse at least $2.5 billion on prepaid debit cards over a year. $2.5 billion. The contract allots up to $10,000 per migrant. $10,000 per migrant with no ID check or fraud control, although City Hall has said they will make the migrants sign an affidavit promising to only use the card for food and baby supplies. What does it matter if they sign an affidavit if you can't, quote unquote, identify these people? How many people know how an affidavit works? How do you hold someone accountable to an affidavit that is untraceable? And if you do hold them accountable to an affidavit, you're going to hold them accountable under what? Because law enforcement doesn't cooperate with ICE until they feel like cooperating with ICE. When they get beat up, then they go running to ICE like what they're doing now. So how does that work? Why aren't more people questioning this? Let me guys a question. How much of a priority do you all really think that this is? Or is this just something to do? If you ask me, my personal opinion is just something to do. I think that most people just look at this as something to do. I don't think they really care. You know what I'm saying? I don't. I mean, the contract allots up to $10,000 per migrant with no ID check or fraud control, although City Hall has said they will make the migrants sign an affidavit promising to only use a card for food and baby supplies. Now, you know what's interesting? They never asked for a study about the likelihood of people signing affidavits who are undocumented to honor the affidavits. However, they could easily do a case study and show how many people who have been arrested decided to not go to their court cases because they get an affidavit and a signed warrant as well, and they don't honor those warrants. Would you guys agree? So you got to make this stuff make sense. You got to put it into context. And in many cases, that's just asking way too much of people. You know what I'm saying? Way too much of people. It is what it is. To make matters worse, the city's housing preservation and development reportedly did not go through the usual competitive bidding process before awarding the job to Mobility Capital Finance. Now, again, what have we said about these no bid contracts? What's so concerning about the no bid contracts? When it comes to a lot of these business practices going on, especially businesses that are getting these migrant crisis contracts, they're no bid contract recipients. What's the significance of that? Or is there one? May not be one. You know what I'm saying? As the Post notes, the contract for the pilot program says Mocha Phi was referred to by HPD by City Hall. Adams said earlier this month that he met Mocha Phi's founder, former JP Morgan Chase managing director, Woel Coxum, in the campaign trail. So now we're going back to Eric Adams and his campaign stuff. But Mocha Phi does not have experience in running this kind of program. Instead, the company usually focuses on prepaid third-party debit cards and bank accounts, which are marketed to minorities. Coxum is a big supporter of universal basic income and left banking, he said, when the 2014 deletion of Michael Brown and Ferguson inspired him to serve the quote-unquote unbanked. What do you guys think about that? So this individual here basically found a way that he could make some money off of mobilizing people's emotions when a black man was deleted. The outrage is microscopic. You know what I'm saying? The debit card program is City Hall's latest controversial move as it deals with the ongoing migrant crisis. Okay. More than 170,000 migrants have arrived in the city since the spring of 2022, and the crisis is only deepening as they continue to be bussed from Texas, where record numbers are pouring over the border. Adams confessed to Fox 5's Roxana Scotto earlier this week that we're getting close to anywhere from 2,500 to peaking at 4,000 per week. What happens when there's no room? Scotto asked at one point during the interview, during which the 63-year-old Brownville native sat opposite her in front of several American and one New York flag. We're not saying we're just out of room as a soundbite, Adams answered, citing more than 161,000 migrants who have arrived and sought city aid since the spring of 2022. We're out of room, literally, the Democrat declared. People are going to be eventually sleeping on the streets. Now, the thing is I don't know if anybody has watched those videos of what's going on in New York City. As a matter of fact, I do know everybody's watched them because in the analytics, you can see what your subscribers watch, and everybody watches those Cass Jordan and all of those guys that do those underground New York reporting. Everybody watches it. You know what I'm saying? Analytics don't lie. You know what I'm saying? So you guys see the people, you know what I'm saying, from various other content creators and from what you see on the news. You see them in the streets. So they're already in the streets. You know what I'm saying? They're already in the streets. So he's a little bit late on this. You know what I mean? He's a little bit late. So then they go into talking about the incident that took place at the Randall Island Shelter Center. And it's just a hot mess in New York City. It's a hot mess with not much being done about it. Fabricated public outrage. You know what I'm saying? More lip service than actual service. And the ATM machine continues to be broke and just spitting money all over the place. Taxpayer money. These people are not against sanctuary cities. You know what I'm saying? They tell you what sounds good to make it seem like they have some type of concern. And then, next thing you know, $10,000 a day is spent. Yet we're trying to cut the budget. The only people that can do something about it are the very people that are not doing anything about it. And it is what it is. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate each and every one of you for sticking around and checking the stream out. If you watch on the replay, y'all know what to do. Hashtag replay gang. Make sure y'all share the stream to your social media. Don't move a muscle. We'll be going right into the next stream. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,
walk up in the life. Yeah, I'm really talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up, look, walking this bitch like, hey, yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey, I'm really him. Don't believe me? Come and see me. Got 3 wishes from my genie. Now I'm on your local TV. Y'all on tour, got demons. Say she wanna come and see me when I'm in a local city. I'm like, pause though. Please step aside so they can see me. And I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. I'm the realest from my city. That's on my knee, that's on Kiwi, that's on mamas. Niggas don't believe me, come and see me. I been dodging all that fake. All these niggas working broke, but I been getting paid. All that know me from the street. Flexing for what feature, that's like every other week. Talk behind my back, I kick my feet up, have a seat. Cause at the end of the day, all these watching me as I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this bitch like, hey, yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey, I'm really him. Hold up.